Yes, just how far can Millwall go? That's the question we're asking this week to our Millwall fans. Welcome back to 20 minutes of Millwall reviews. We're also talking about the brilliance of Casper. It was an amazing performance against Burnley, who starts against Stoke City, our November fixtures, and which player needs a firework rocket on the backside because their season hasn't yet started. Let's get straight into that Burnley result then, shall we? Welcome back, Callum. Welcome back, George. Callum, did you see that coming?
No, I didn't. I was very surprised how poor Burnley were. I didn't think they laid a glove on us, really. I thought it was quite a Mill performance, low possession, few chances. We had a few chances in that first half. Burnley didn't had that chance in about 5 minutes. Kolyosho had hit the post. But then after that, I thought we were the better side coming into the last 15 minutes of the first half. I thought Langstaff had a good header that was saved by Trafford. Then you had the Aziz chance, which he should have buried, in my opinion. Should have scored that. But then second half, it was a bit 50-50. I didn't really know what to expect in the second half. Obviously, the people that I sit with, I was there at the game, and I thought, are they gonna score out of the blue, or are we gonna get nick one, and then will it be like a 1-0? But luckily, we scored within 7 minutes after the first half. After half time. And yeah, Cooper, what a brilliant header! Fair play to Aziz for a great ball in as well. And yeah, we got the job done. So all good.
Whenever I watch Millwall, and you'll correct me, the players just seem like they're just playing for each other and playing for the manager. We see it time and time again. George, is this a stupid question? But is this the happiest side we've seen in terms of togetherness that you've seen in a while?
Yeah. Listen, I think one thing you're guaranteed with Neil Harris in charges is that his players will run through brick walls for him. He's a Millwall man. He's Millwall through and through, and he's an excellent man manager. And by being an excellent man manager, he's an excellent inspirator, I would say, as well, for those boys. And say yesterday's win against Burnley was a proper Millwall Neil Harris performance, I would say. And I think the results which we weren't getting at the start of the campaign have started to come now, and we're starting to gain a little bit of consistency. And albeit winning 1-0 every week, you're not going to do that, unfortunately. We know that. But for now, we'll take it. And we're starting to gain some consistency, which is great. But say you've got full credit to Neil Harris and the job he's doing, because it's strange, really, how we were flirting with the relegation zone a few weeks ago. And 3 games later, 3-1-0 wins in a row, and we're up to 7th. I mean, we're flying, mate, flying.
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually put a tweet out on Twitter saying Millwall were in a false position and got absolutely hammered by all kinds of other fans going, you don't know what you're talking about and all this. But I mean, Callum, you've been here every week saying, look, these performances aren't bad. We might have lost by the odd goal here, but you know, if it's just a couple of those games went your way, I think of it about Hull away, and you hit the crossbar in the last 5 minutes of the game. If that had gone in, yeah, some other games that have been close to me. That Watford game, which was crazy. It could have been well up there. It could even be 3rd or 4th, couldn't you?
I mean, yeah, that's it, Mark. I mean, you got to look at it in a positive way. I think you look at all the games we've played this season and all the games we've been within touching distance of winning these games, or at least getting a point out of these games. And I think that's been the positive to take this season, even though we've lost some games, and we've been in with a chance of getting points in these games. But then, I mean, to be fair, it doesn't look that great, stats wise. But when you watch the games and you see that we're nicking points here and now, I think that's how tough this league is. Really, I think it just goes to show that it's like moments when you can, obviously hit the crossbar, as you said, against Hull, or whether like a few more opportunities against Watford we could score. I think all these things happen for a reason. And like George said, I think Neil Harris deserves so much credit. I think he's the right man for the job. I mean, some people have said that he's an average championship manager. He can't manage in the championship. But I think, like, the man's just working miracles at the minute. So long may it continue. But we've got Leeds on Wednesday, a tough away trip to Stoke on next Saturday. So listen, they're all tough games, but at the moment we're on a great run. So why not get 6 points in the next 2 games?
George, has your opinion personally changed of Harris? Because we had our chats last year where I think it was a common view held by lots of Millwall fans that he did a job, he came in, he saved you from relegation, but he wasn't the long-term guy. Is he now the long-term guy for you?
I don't think there would be any complaints if he is, that's for sure. I think for me, what it was towards the end of the season, there was still a question mark over the sustainability of the football. Could you go away, home and away, week in and week out, and play a certain style of football which is deemed as negative, and will the fans get on board with it? And this season, say the back end of last season, Neil Harris came in, did a fantastic job, kept us in the division, got us to mid-table, brilliant. This season was the real question. Could we continue playing a certain way, or was we going to see an improvement on the pitch? And I think that certainly we've seen an improvement. The style of football is much better. It's a direct one still, but it's a fast-paced, getting the ball up as quick as you can with 2 very tricky wingers either side, with pace. And say it is working really well so far. So listen, I for one will not be complaining if Neil Harris's contract is extended, which I'm sure it will be because we're absolutely flying at the moment, and I for one will not be complaining.
Absolutely. Let's look at some social media tweets then from there. We'll come on to Casper De Norre now. Fred says absolutely immense in the middle. Zize's best game in a Millwall shirt. Juicy Jake back in the goals. 3 wins on the bounce with no goals conceded, which we haven't mentioned, have we yet? Absolutely flying. Bring on Leeds. It's coming home. So it was the best performance of the season by a mile. Aggressive from the off without losing that defensive grit. Jensen had nothing to do. And James says Casper was mustard. Proper Millwall. Fast becoming my favourite centre midfielder since Jimmy. Clever player, hard work, good passing, celebrates tackles and free kicks like it's the World Cup final. All right, Callum. Talk to me about Casper.
Yeah, machine in that midfield last night. I thought he was. He didn't really get mentioned in like the aftermath of the game because obviously it was on TV. But obviously Aziz got all the plaudits at the end. But yeah, I think he went unnoticed really in that game. I think he oozes confidence in that midfield, especially with Saville alongside him. I just think he's getting better and better each game that I watch him. I think the one thing I would say, which is kind of frustrating me when we're playing at the moment, is that we're getting the balls long. Obviously, we're quite high percentage wise in the league for long passes, but at times when I watch us play, I feel like we should maybe play Casper or like play the ball to Casper because he gets in these pockets. I don't know whether George might agree with me here, but when he gets into them pockets in between the 2 centre backs and there's a striker and he can get on the half turn and probably turn and find another pass. I don't think Tanganga does it. I think when Cooper gets it, he may be a little bit, hesitant on whether to trust Casper with the ball. Now, I'd like to see Casper get a little bit more time on the ball in that midfield. I don't think he gets much touches of the ball where I think he can take it on the half turn and do a bit more. Obviously, Saville tries his best to do that, but technically, I think Casper can do that. So I'd like to see that happen in the next couple of games if possible. But again, like interceptions, getting up and down the pitch, box to box, he's brilliant.
I'll quickly butt in there. Sorry, I actually fully agree. I think with Casper De Norre, he's always showing for the ball. He's always so positive. He's always showing for the ball. He loves to play on the half turn, and he drops into these little pockets of space, these little gaps, these little holes, and sometimes it's frustrating because Jake Cooper more than Tanganga, because I think Tanganga likes to thread that little ball through all the time. But Jake Cooper just looks for the long pass every single time. And it is very frustrating because Casper's always on. He's always an option. He's always looking for the ball. He's always trying to receive it. And instead we go direct to Langstaff and either lose it or give away possession. But yeah, no, say Casper De Norre on yesterday was superb, mate. He was absolutely everywhere, running, receiving the ball, passing, intercepting. Yeah, he was brilliant.
I want to ask you how much you're missing Fleming, because he was sat watching, of course, from the stands, ineligible to play. The answer to this might be pretty obvious, Callum, that you're not. But it's a little bit of you think, if we perhaps had him in this midfield, just what else you could do?
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of the Jed Wallace saga, where obviously Jed Wallace leaves to West Brom on a free transfer, and he comes back to play against us for West Brom, and obviously we draw the game 1-1, and he assists a goal. But it sort of reminds me of this is different in the fact, as in Fleming's sitting there thinking, I can't play. He would love to have played that game yesterday. But I just think that it's given Honeyman the ability to now get into that 10. And you could say he helped out a few of the players position into the team, where Fleming's come out and he's probably one of our best players and set down in that starting 11. However, I feel like for him leaving, it's probably helped a few other players gain confidence in the team. The answer to your question is no. I think yes, he probably would be a good fit in this team, but I feel like it happens for a reason, and other players are now performing to the standard where we don't have to rely on Fleming or Bradshaw or two players who got us like 15 goals a season, for example. So no, I'd say yes, he would have made a difference, but I think it's helped the team a lot in the long run.
Okay, all right. Let's have a look then at the fixtures to come. Then, I mean, crikey, if you were to beat Leeds on Wednesday night, I think the roof might come off the new den. We'll certainly hear it in Leeds. Tricky games and home to Leeds, away at Stoke, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then a break, which is probably not going to come out at the right time, George. I think for Millwall, given the little run that you've been on, and then of course home to Sunderland, away to Pompey, and away to Oxford to finish off the month. Like I said, we were recording this before the Leeds game, so let's talk about Stoke. Let's talk about Stoke away. Always a horrible fixture, this, George, isn't it? How do you see this one going?
Yeah, difficult. Our record up there isn't fantastic either. Off the top of my head, a lot of 1-0s, a lot of 0-0s. I think the only time we've won there in recent years was the lockdown season where we beat them. I remember Mason Bennett scored that day. That was like football knowledge. But yeah, it's a really difficult place to go. Not very nice. One away win in the league so far this season, but that was last time out at Swansea. And say if we can keep our form going, I don't see why we can't go and win this Saturday. There's obviously still maybe an issue of a consistency winning 1-0 recently, of course. But generally speaking, so far since the start of the season in May, we have been quite inconsistent. And it does feel like this is very Millwall. It does feel like this. Where we go and we beat Burnley and we'll go get a result against Leeds. And then we'll go to a team like Stoke and we'll lose. And that is very, very, very Millwall. I've seen it over and over and over again. So, yeah, difficult place to go, especially with our recent record in recent times. And it's just proper Millwall. So, hopefully we'll see.
All right, let's have a look at the team. Then this is the starting 11 against Burnley. Obviously, again, we don't know what's happened against Leeds in terms of injuries and suspensions. But Callum, do you change anything on here for the trip to Stoke?
See, this is a tough one because I thought we played so well against Burnley. I don't know what it is. I just think that they have the greatest of games at left mid. I think his best position is right midfield on that right. He's more dangerous. I'd say it probably. I think he'll probably keep it the same on Wednesday. He might bring Ivanovic in or Coburn in for Langstaff. I thought Langstaff done really well on Sunday against Burnley. I thought Leonard had a really good game. I mean, Jane Anthony's one of the best wingers in the league, and Leonard dealt with him superbly well. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Mark, I think he's got to rotate it Wednesday. So I reckon he'll rotate it Wednesday against Leeds, and then I think this is what you'll see. I think this is what you see on Leeds on Wednesday again, and then for the Stoke game on Saturday, I think he'll change this up a little bit.
Okay.
Well, what's important to know as well is obviously this video is going out after the Leeds game, but Joe Bryant is suspended for Wednesday night after picking up another yellow card, which means Danny Mack will come in at left back, and if Danny Mack again has a great game against Leeds, then you might see him start away at Stoke, which you have seen this season, where he's brought Danny Mack in at left back away from home. But I agree with you. I think no discredit to Aziz, but I'd like to see him and Romain SA swap around, because I think you've got to play your best players in your best position, and Romain SA is much better off the right hand side, so I'll do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watmore's not getting back in this side, is he? If this midfield continues to be as effective as it has been.
Yeah, when he came on, I don't know about George, but when he came on, he didn't even train. I mean, Harris came out after the game or before the game, and he said that I think he only trained half an hour because I think he's just had a newborn recently. So, yeah, I think he didn't train a lot before the Burnley game. So, and when he came on for, I think it was about 25 minutes, he looked very lethargic when he came on. He didn't look energetic, really, very lackluster. But I think he'll probably get a game against Stoke, I believe, anyway. I think he'll start just a rotation. I think rotation's key, Mark, especially with the games coming up. I think rotation's key because now we've got players coming back, which is very key for us, especially with the squad that we have. I believe that now that we've got players coming back, like Billy Mitchell's coming back soon, Adam Mayer, Imaku, Ivanovic, Coben on the bench, Danny McNamara and Brian switching. I think it's starting to come into reality now that we've got players that can come in and do a job. And I think that's very important for us as a squad in the coming weeks.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, both of you, for that. Before we let you go, with it being Bonfire Night, we're asking all our teams this week which one player needs a firework or rocket up their backside because, for whatever reason, their season hasn't lit up yet. George, for you, who's disappointed?
I think the obvious answer here really is probably Adamo Amaku. Had a really promising pre-season. I remember the first game against Watford, he came off the bench and did really well, got like we'll call it a pre-assist. But since then hasn't really got going, and he seems to have fallen out of favour. Got sent off the other week against Preston. Was suspended for 3 games and hasn't actually played a minute since. So he's obviously not in Neil Harris's good books. Maybe a debate over attitude issues, I don't know. But yeah, for sure, I think Adamo Amaku's got fantastic talent, but he just needs a bit of a rocket up his arse in training, maybe. Work harder than anyone else at the moment to try and get a place in the team. But say with Aziz playing really well, Watmore scoring goals at the start of this season, it's looking difficult, and I could potentially see him going out on loan in January. But I think Adamo Amaku is the obvious one.
Okay, good shout. Callum?
George has taken my one. That was going to be my one.
It's the obvious answer, though, isn't it? It's the obvious
answer. But what George has just said is so right. I mean, I think we said this before on the channel. I just think that Harris doesn't like him at all. I think he'll get sent out on loan in January. This is a tough one for me. Do you know what? I'd probably say Brian. I don't know why, but I feel like Joe Bryan's been good in some games, but I feel like his consistency levels this season have been a bit up and down, which could, well, I don't know, some fans might like it, some fans might not. So, but I just think some games, let me go back to one game. I mean, the Cardiff away game, he basically lost his man for that corner that they scored when Perry Ng scored. He lost his man and he basically gave away a goal. But yeah, I just think he's consistent. Not really been up and it's been up and down recently. So I'd probably go Joe Bryan. But yeah, again, he played well against Burnley, so that could be a bit harsh. But I feel like I'm going to go Joe Bryan because I'm out of options really.
Okay. All right. If you can beat either of those two, then you know what to do. Drop them in the comments below. And do drop a subscribe while you're there as well. We'd love to start growing this particular channel. We love having these chats weekly against Millwall. Getting excited myself, even as a non-Millwall fan, as a neutral, to see how far this will go. I've seen some ridiculous tweets as well, such as imagine Millwall in the Premier League, and this league must be poor if Millwall are seventh. I mean, you love all that stuff, though, don't you? This just adds fuel to the fire of Millwall.
Forever the underdog, mate. Forever the underdog.
Absolutely. Bring it on. All right. Thank you very much, George. Thank you, Callum. We'll catch you on the other side, of course, the Leeds game and the Stoke game, and review all with you next week. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great week.